This is the SpaceKadett, an Opel which I've owned since November 2001. It replaced the Kadett, which I had since 1998, but which was retired just before the introduction of the national car test. I bought it from an elderly farmer in County Kilkenny and collected it with the help of my friend Paul O'Connell. It was originally royal red. It was a fairly basic 1.2, but it was roadworthy, and almost immediately myself and Des Fitzgerald found ourselves on a road trip in England with the car. Upon returning home, we made a quick dash to West Cork, where a GTE interior and some alloy wheels were swapped onto it from the Kadett. It wasn't long until a gang of us did a terrible spray job in a hay shed, and the car became mostly black. It was on and off the road over the next couple of years, going through a number of engine swaps to keep it going, and other cars came and went. In 2004 I did a staggering amount of driving in it, travelling to about 30 rallies that year filming, and it also did the recce for the Killarney rally, and I learned to make pace notes with Passy Hatoya in the Wicklow Mountains with it. At the beginning of the 2005 season, however, another head gasket blew, and by now the body was getting very tired, so it was parked up for a while. Work commitments meant it was barely touched from April 2005 to October 2009, and this is how bad things got. The outer sills were completely shot, but fortunately I'd stripped the carpets and left the paint drain holes open, so the floor was in good shape. The first thing I did was stick in a head gasket and got the car moving again, which was really motivating. I'd recently bought a welder and taught myself how to weld on another project, so with the experience gained, I had the confidence to buy some pattern panels and started cutting out the rot. It was scary to take out so much of the car, but it gave me great heart to see the new metal going in. An SR front bumper was sourced through the Mark I Owners Club, and this helped to create the fantasy image in my head of what it would be like finished. Repairs had also been made to the rear corners and the bottoms of the wings. After painting the inside, I actually began to realise I now had a pretty tidy shell, and began on the removable panels such as the doors. Money was tight, so I had to repair instead of replace these, and some of the sections I made up were pretty complex, and bits of the Kadett were welded in, blurring the DNA of the two cars, especially when that car donated its bonnet. Inner wings were painted over a couple of dry afternoons, and by now there was almost a year of spare time gone into the restoration, but it was starting to come together, and the experience gained meant I was now tackling jobs that I hadn't known how to approach at the beginning. Recreating the rear lip around the boot hatch was one of them. The car was looking fairly complete now, so it was with a big intake of breath that I cut out nearly the whole front to replace the valance. That was the last of the big jobs, and after that, the tasks were now getting smaller, such as reconditioning the bumper mounts and servicing the engine. The focus now turned to getting it tested, taxed and insured again. The brakes took a hell of a lot of persuasion to be made serviceable. It went through the test and didn't score a fail dangerous, so I could now test drive over the next 30 days. The list of jobs they gave me included sorting a brake imbalance, and unfortunately having to replace my windscreen with its original Rothmans Rally sun visor on it. I drove it to the next test, and the engine, which had probably needed a skim when the head gasket blew in 2005, started to belch smoke just as I arrived at the test centre, 60 kilometres from home. I signed it in for the test anyway, and bowed my head in shame while it went down the lane, filling the building with black clouds. The brakes passed the test, and as it had passed the emissions the first time, I got the year's ticket. The SpaceKadett was finally legal, but barely made it to a friend's house after the test and had to be trailered home. Yet another engine was quickly transplanted and the car was put back into full-time service and hasn't been off the road since. It does take constant work to keep it going, so I hope you enjoy these videos.